everybody. Well, I haven't recorded a whole lot lately in the last few days, and that's just because not a whole lot interesting has happened. So, kind of hard to find interesting things. So anyways, I don't even know what today is. Tuesday? It must be Tuesday. No, oh, it's Monday. Sorry, today's Monday. Yikes. That's what you get for being a farmer, not knowing what day of the week it is. Anyways, so we're just coming back from town. I had a package at the post office, and more importantly, I have a tube for a sprinkler tire that I'm gonna put back on. Well, I done messed up. I have put tubes in so many of these tires, and I have never had this happen. Obviously, I made a mistake, but somehow I got the tube wedged between the tire and the rail. And I can't get them. I'm to the point now where it's like I cannot get that stuffed in, so I decided, okay, well, whatever, I'll take the tire back apart. So I did. I got this side off, which is the last side I put on. But the wheel it's wedged in there hard. And I know there's a way to get it apart, but if I am not careful, I will get stressed out, and I'm gonna end up just cutting this whole tire in half to get it off. And I don't think we need that kind of violence today. So we're gonna let this project sit. I'm gonna cool off mentally and literally because it's hot in here. And we'll see what I decide to do with that. I won. I beat the system. Technically, I cheated. I finally got I put some blocks over, I jumped on the tire, got it popped off. And I was able to get I was gonna try and just push the tube the rest of the way in once it was loose, but then I found a spot where I had put a hole in the tube and decided, you know what? We're just gonna take the tube off and see if it holds. So I took the tube out. The main reason we put tubes in these tires is because when the wheel is in the pivot track, the sides of when it's sunk down a little bit, the sides of the track push in on the side of the tire and can squeeze on that sidewall. And that's where a lot of our tires have come off, is because of that. And if you put a tube in, it helps support that, and it doesn't really matter sometimes if that sidewall gets pushed in a little bit because there's a tube in there. But we've done it this way plenty of times. This is how we used to always do it. And this is how we're gonna do it today, because I won. A few days later, not a whole lot happened that was interesting, at least. But we've got some rain coming for the next few days, and we've got a couple crops that need cut. The grass field, and we actually have a field of millet that's getting pretty close. So we need to get this machine ready to go. I got a hay buyer coming pretty quick, so we're gonna jump in this, move it over to the shop where it can be worked on, and we'll load this person with hay, and we'll get going. So that's that. See you in a minute. We sharpened all the blades, got those ready to go. Put a nice shiny edge on those. You know, it's not perfect, but we'll get a lot more life out of them, assuming they don't get hit by a rock, which most of the time that's what brings them to an end. Very, very rarely do we, there's not really a whole lot of rocks out there. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. For some reason, it seems to be pretty rare when we actually wear these down to the point of replacement. They usually break. So, at least in this country. Anyways, we got that done. We went through and checked the oil, checked all the oils, and the filters, blew out all the air filters. There's the engine, there's the cab filter. Checked the oil, the engine oil, I don't even know what you call it. Crankcase oil, I'm guessing is what it's called. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. Don't judge me. I'm a YouTube certified mechanic. Well, that started shutting hard for some reason. We still got to give it a bath, but we're not going to be using this windrower for a few days because it's supposed to rain for about 4 or 5 days straight. So I have time to give her a bath. Where's this handle? There we go. And hydraulic oil's good. There's not a whole lot to check on this side except remind myself when I did the filters. I actually need to look on my chart and see how many hours this machine has run since I did this oil change. Airbags don't leak yet. On our old one, they did horribly. You had to air them up every single time you went out. It was annoying. And these do a really good job. I love this machine so much. It does such a good job. The only thing I don't like about it is that the newer machines, I don't know if you'll be able to tell. Let's get underneath here. I don't know what you call that. Sometimes I call it a baffle. But anyways, that's what I adjust up and down to determine how wide the windrow is. That doesn't actually make sense to me. I don't get how adjusting that up and down changes the width of the windrow, but it absolutely does. Much more than these do. But my only issue is that it doesn't do it very evenly. So the sides always have more. There's always more hay on the edge than there is in the middle. And on the newer machines, the New Hollands and the Plus series, I think, because this is let's see, this is the 419, just the 419 Momax 2, I guess, or the Durabine 419. And on the 419 Plus, because we demoed one last year, 2 years ago, and I'm calling it the baffle, has on the bottom all these little adjustable guides, or vanes, that's what they are, I guess. These adjustable vanes that you can adjust manually to get a more even windrow. And I've heard they work extremely well. I've seen some videos, but I've also heard that Massey Ferguson's work really good too, the newer ones, at least. So, I don't know, that's my only disgruntle with this. I would still prefer this over Massey Ferguson, purely because in our circumstance, this 19-foot head is absolutely amazing. That is really nice. It works really nice with our rake, really nice with the baler, especially on alfalfa. You get done a lot quicker with all these fields. And then of course, I put the aftermarket Trimble in there because I can't stand the Pro 700, worst monitor ever created. But Case's new monitor, I haven't gotten a chance to try it, but I've heard it works really nice. And we're just putting the shield in. But it looks really nice. It looks much more user-friendly than the Pro 700. So we've had a few Pro 700s and I don't like them. But there is still a Pro 7, well, I guess it's called the IntelliView because it's New Holland. There is still an IntelliView monitor in there. And that's just to run the machine because I need to be able to see all the machine data. So all the machine data runs on this monitor. All the GPS functions run on this monitor. And man, it works so nice. And with this, we get the RTX. It's like $400 a year, super cheap. As compared to, I don't know, maybe you can get RTX on these too. I don't know, but for the same price. But anyways, this, when we ran GPS here, if you didn't have a subscription, it's useless. GPS on this is useless without a subscription, unless you're going in straight lines. But the subscription for this monitor was like $2,000 some a year, and we quit doing that because we're not planting as much corn as we used to, so it didn't become, and just in our situation in general, it's not as important to us as it used to be. So we still need the accuracy. I use that monitor and the Nav 900. They go on our other tractor in the spring, but don't really need it during the summer. So anyways, we got this all done. Probably not today, but maybe tomorrow. I'll give this guy a bath. And I think that'll about do it today. I was working on yesterday. This is an air dryer off one of our trucks. And I've recently learned that you're supposed to replace these filters. This is just an air filter, I guess. And so Grandpa went and picked one up, but it's the wrong, this is the ADIP, and this is for the ADSP. And then of course this is the purge valve. That's what this box is for. This is the filter, but wrong dryer is what this is for. So I got to take this back probably tomorrow, and then who knows, I might do it today. We'll see how I feel after lunch, but it's a really long drive. So anyways, I guess that's it. That's probably going to be it for today, and I'll get back to you tomorrow or whenever something interesting happens. Well, we've got ourselves a fun new project. I got the loader in the shop here. I already went through and relieved all the pressure off of the boom and everything else that I could find. And these lines, although I think I'm going to do it on the other side, this is one of the lift cylinders, and these are the two lines going into it. We'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. And this is the other side, and this is where I'm actually going to do this at. So we are putting a scale on this loader. We're going to try that out and see how well that works. Sounds like a good idea. So kind of did a poll with some of our customers, and they all said that it would be really nice if we had a scale. So I have to take these two connections off, because the way this scale works is they plug in a pressure transducer into the lift cylinder, and it reads the pressure off the lift cylinder to determine the weight after it's been calibrated. But I have to take these off and figure out not only what type of connection they are, but also what size. And I'm not an expert in hydraulic connections. So I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna go eat breakfast, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna do some research on exactly how to figure out what type and what size it is. We'll pop these off, take some measurements, and get it sent in. And then the way it'll work is there will be some sort of a computer apparatus that I don't know where I'm gonna mount it yet. Maybe somewhere like right here or somewhere. It's gotta be, I want it somewhere where it's not gonna get, it's gotta be on the front of the frame, because I want it ahead of the pivot point. So I don't know where the best place to put it is. Maybe on the inside. That might be a good spot, actually. We'll have to see, make sure that's not gonna get too close to anything, but I don't think it will. So we'll do that, and then that'll send a wireless signal to a tablet. Ugh, I've still got to replace that window. To a tablet that is mounted up there, and that's how we measure the weight. So that'll be a fun project. We won't actually get it for a few weeks, they said. It takes a little while to order them, I suppose. and to get them set up. But once we do get it installed, this will be a pretty fun little apparatus. So I'm gonna go eat breakfast and we'll come back to this. So I forgot to video the whole process, but we popped one of these off. They're both the same. We popped one of these off and I took a bunch of measurements, did some research online to figure out. Turns out this is I've never heard of this. Again, I'm not an expert, but it's called a DIN connector is the style. And I guess they're all in metric, which would make sense. Anyways, took the measurements and now we're gonna go over to the house and send those in an email so the scale company can get the scale sent this way. In today's deep dive, we dive deep. I thought that was pretty good. Anyways, got a lot of stuff taken apart. I know I was talking about putting the scale on here the other day, and I mean, got all that figured out. Actually, there's a new place where that scale is gonna go, and let me get my flashlight here. So we've actually decided, oh boy, are you gonna focus? There we go. So we've actually decided that down, oh, you're not gonna be able to see it from here, but there's some hoses run across the bottom, some steel lines, and it's a lot more protected under there because I called the company and I was like, hey, I don't know how much I actually want electronics hanging out right here, because I know how much junk builds up there in the winter. And I asked him if it was okay if we put it inside of here with all the other stuff that's protected. And he said that was fine. So the reason this is tore apart and the steps are on the ground and everything, which I only have about an hour to get this put back together because we got a hay truck coming, is because the parking brake doesn't work and, well, I should say works period, doesn't function the way it's supposed to. And the ride control, which is the boom suspension, also doesn't work. Now that, I have never gotten that to even start to work. So I don't know, that's its own separate issue. I haven't figured that one out yet. But the parking brake, these are the nitrogen accumulators, I guess you call it. And they run the parking brake. I believe they're also supposed to run the boom suspension. The parking brake itself operates, let's see if I can turn this light on here. The parking brake itself is that little green lever sticking out. And you can see I have the linkage unhooked for a very good reason, because anytime the parking brake, it goes to, what do you call that? It defaults to parking brake engaged on this machine. So what that means is that anytime, if the parking brake doesn't work, it's engaged and you can't move. So I unhooked the linkage, and that will not get hooked back up until I can solve the problem, because what happens is you're driving along. It started working last year. It started working suddenly. And so I got it all hooked back up, excited, and it worked fine for about 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, when me and Grandpa were both at different times driving this machine, it was both when we were backing up, thankfully, and I always wear my seatbelt, but Grandpa doesn't. And we were backing up, parking brake engages. Oh my gosh, when I tell you it feels like you got in a car wreck, goodness gracious. Immediately I unhooked it. I was like, I'm not playing that game, that's dumb. So the plan is I've determined it has to be electrical. I don't get it, because what'll happen is like you'll hit the parking brake button and test and various and this and that, and all of a sudden it just stops working. So I'm pretty sure it's electrical. I haven't figured out what about it. I don't understand I don't know. I'm not an engineer, guys. So I know down behind here is the actual valve and the solenoid itself. I was kind of thinking it might be the solenoid, and I was gonna take that off and then check it, but then I started realizing that if this whole system's under pressure, I don't know if I want to take this solenoid out. I mean, if it's safe to do so. I might just have to call Volvo and get advice from them. But that's where we're at now. Kind of the point where I just got to get this back together real quick. At least good enough to go. Well, we'll see. I can get in the cab without the steps on, and if I load the truck, that's okay. We'll see. We'll see what I do. I got everything greased up yesterday as well. I greased everything on this machine. Crawled underneath, did all the drive shafts, all that. At some point, I need to check these planetaries. That hasn't been done in a really long time and really needs done. So we're gonna get to work. I'm gonna get this put back together and we'll get it out of here and ready to go.